Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Elish, and in this channel I talk about self-development, education and all other useful stuff that can be helpful in your life. So today I'm going to be talking about how to learn any languages fluently, because I was getting a lot of questions about how I learned English fluently and how I have been speaking it since I was like 16, 17. I felt like I'm the right person to speak about this one since I was getting a lot of questions about this, and I decided to make this video. And I feel like I can speak about it because I speak three languages: Azerbaijani, Turkish and English, and all of them are in fluent level. Azerbaijani and Turkish are more in native level. And that's why I think I can speak about this. And in this video, I'll try to give you a straightforward guide, not much scientific stuff because you can find it over the internet. You can like search for it and like do research on this one. But today I want to talk about my experience and how I learn languages and how I would suggest you to do it as well. So let's go. Let me start with how I currently speak three languages fluently. Azerbaijani, it's very clear. I'm from Azerbaijan. I grew up over there, and that's why I speak Azerbaijani fluently, because that's my native language, so I speak in native level, not even fluent level. Turkish, it is a bit of a weird story because Turkish and Azerbaijani, they're coming from the same language family, and that's why it's easy to learn Turkish. Like for any Azerbaijani person, you can ask, they will probably understand Turkish. And that's why I learned it easily, and I learned it through watching movies and TV series and just like purely repeating it to myself. But I speak fluently because I don't have any accent when I speak Turkish, so I speak it like a Turkish person would do. That's why I will easily tell myself that, you know, I'm a native level, so I don't really have to say I'm a fluent speaker, but I'm a native speaker, because most of the Turkish people around me, they can confirm this. So I'm proud. When it comes to English, I learned it in the course and also in the school, and throughout the university years I fully studied in English. I never studied in Azerbaijani or Turkish, so I was using English all the time, and that's why my whole academic life is centered around this, and that's why I speak English fluently. And today I'm working in a multinational company and I'm still living abroad, and I'm using English all the time. I don't speak Polish even though I live in Poland. So that's pretty much the story, and let's move on to the tips, tricks, and my experience. I think one of the famous questions about learning a language is that, do you really need grammar to learn the language or speak the language? And I'm going to be honest about this one, and I personally don't agree with a lot of people saying that, oh, you don't need grammar to speak a language. I think that is a big bullshit, and please do not cancel me for saying this, but I personally feel that you still need grammar. I'm not saying that you need to learn all the advanced grammar structures to be able to speak, at least for the beginning, but still you need grammar. And I'll tell you why. Because grammar is the backbone of any language. You build a sentence, and sentence has certain structure, and that certain sentence structure is centered around that grammar. So that's why you at least need some basic grammar. It might be about like nouns, verbs, maybe adjectives, adverbs. So those things that might be necessary to build simple sentences. Of course, if you are gonna go for more advanced structures, or if you want to build more complex sentences, you will need more grammar to do it. But for the beginning, to not get into too much of a hardship, too much of a difficulty, you definitely need just like basic grammar, how to learn how to build a sentence, and that's it. That's gonna be enough for you to build simple sentences, to communicate easily, and you can even like talk 1 or 2 minutes easily with these simple structures. You don't really need all these complex stuff to start. But at least for the beginning, you still need a bit of grammar, and that's why like grammar is important. You might ask me, okay, you did not study Turkish, how did you learn it then? You were just like learning it with like listening and maybe repeating it to yourself. It's only because Azerbaijani and Turkish grammar are pretty much the same, so sentence structures are the same, so I didn't really need to learn it, and to this day I don't know about Turkish grammar. I just speak it, and simply because structures are the same, and rest of the rules I just talk about it like naturally, because that's how I heard it and that's how I speak. And that's why I can tell you one tip is that you can practice building simple sentence structures with just some exercises by just writing them or just repeating those sentences to yourself. For such purposes, Duolingo or Busuu can be really good apps to practice this, because they give you a lot of simple exercises, so you can memorize and kind of automate the grammar structure in your brain, so you don't have to think about it when you speak, and you will just speak more naturally and your flow will be much smoother. That will be my suggestion to learn the basic grammar so you can start speaking the language more fluently. Second thing is about language apps, and I see that there is a lot of hype about language apps. I know for some people it works, some people it doesn't, but I will tell you one thing. Language apps are not very useful when it comes to speaking in a bit more advanced way and learning more and more. Apps are good for building your dictionary, learning sentence structures, and doing really good grammar exercises, and that's why I was suggesting Duolingo or Busuu for such purposes. But when it comes to real life, you are getting engaged into more advanced conversations, you are moving from one topic to another, and that's why Duolingo is very much limited in terms of that. And I hope the screen owl won't be chasing me around. You know, though, I love you, please don't chase me, but it is what it is, so I have to tell the truth. So that's why I would say language apps, good for practice, for the beginner, and for the elementary level, again, for building your dictionary, practicing your grammar, and so on. Because when it comes to speaking, you get into more complex situations, and it's not like repeating 1 or 2 sentences and that's it, you're done. So you need a bit more complex structure for that one. So you need to speak in real life so you can practice it. And for that one, I would suggest engaging into conversation clubs in your country, or getting into this language learning forums and finding people over there so you can have, I don't know, online calls. You can get into this online group calls. Usually those kind of things are free because volunteers are over there, and you can pretty much use that. And in such case, I'm 100% sure you can get much better speaking practice rather than using the language apps. Next thing is about listening. And I'm gonna tell a lot about this one because I personally think that listening is the key to learning any language. And I will tell you why. Because imagine you are a child, you are a baby, you are just newborn, you don't speak any language. The only thing you can do is Goo Gaga, that's it. And in that case, you don't really have any language that has been inputted to you when you are born. It's rather a process that you learn over the years, that you grow up with your parents, with your surrounding. So you learn words from them, you understand what that word means and how, what do they refer to, such things. And that's how you're grabbing the accent, that's how you're grabbing the speaking style, and so on. So that's why for such cases, listening is important. And that's why I'm saying listening is important. And again, same for me. I was just telling this story before how I learned Turkish and how I speak Turkish fluently. The reason why I speak Turkish fluently because I learned it just by listening. No one came and taught me, hey Alish, this is how the Turkish grammar is built, that's how you need to build the sentence, that's what it is. I had the basic understanding because words were similar, grammar was similar, and that's how I was able to learn Turkish that easy. When I learned Turkish through listening, I was able to grab the accent and all the speaking style and everything else. So I learned, let's say, clean style of Turkish. And that's why when I'm speaking, people do not realize I'm Azerbaijani until I tell them so. So that's why they're surprised that, oh my God, how do you not have the Azerbaijani accent? And that kind of makes me feel proud. I'm gonna be honest about this one. And most of my Turkish friends know about this. That's how you learn it. For example, someone is growing up in some other part of the country and someone is growing up in the city. So for example, one person who's growing up in the city, he has different kind of language style and he's speaking slightly differently compared to someone in a different region. And that person is growing up with different dialect, different speaking style. Maybe they have even small differences in the words, how they pronounce it. Sometimes even different word they're using for the same kind of object or same kind of understanding. So for such cases, you see the listening is really effective. And that's how I used to learn English as well. Because by listening, you are learning consciously and unconsciously at the same time. That's how listening is really effective. For example, I'm getting a lot of questions that, hey, you don't have any UK accent. Yes, I know, I don't have any UK accent. And it is very normal because even though I lived in the UK for 4 years, when I learned English, I learned it with movies, TV series, music, so on. And most of them were American produced. Most of them were produced in the US. When you watch TV series or movies, again, a lot of American actors and the plot is happening in the US. So most of the time you get used to this American accent, and that's why I got used to it. And even though I have a bit of mixture from sometimes I have some British accent, sometimes I have American accent, most of the times it's about American accent because that's how I learned the language, that's how I absorbed it in the beginning, and that's how I grabbed the accent. Maybe it's also, to some extent, it's also my superpower that whenever I'm listening, I can grab the accent, I can just copy all of them. And that really helps me a lot because with this way, I'm learning language more naturally because I kind of take the natural flow of a speaker, native speaker, and that makes my speaking much more smoothly. And that's how I do it. And that's how listening helps you to learn language much better. So that's why I'm saying listening. Listening is gonna be the best friend for you because, again, when you listen, you get unconsciously, and consciously you are listening, and you are getting those things, getting those inputs, and then your brain is giving you the similar kind of output. Be careful about what you listen to. If you listen to all the trash stuff, let's say if you listen to very weird accents and very weird like slangs and so on, so your output is gonna be like that as well. So I would really suggest you to stick to, I don't know, radio, news, podcasts, really good source. And of course, watching movies and TV series is really helpful. As I told you before, really, my accent has been shaped by whatever I have watched, and that helps a lot. So that's why please stick to listening, and because listening is going to be your best friend. Of course, in the beginning, you won't have a lot to listen to because you won't be able to listen to advanced stuff if you don't have too much dictionary, if you don't have too much of an understanding of the language. But as you move on, definitely use it. It's going to be absolutely helpful. I can guarantee you, listening is the best thing. Next important lesson I learned was that you need to surround yourself with the language, and I think this is really, really important, because surrounding yourself with the language means that you are fully immersed in that one and like you are just getting the input in that language all the time. Of course, if you are living in a different country from the language that you want to learn, let's say you want to learn English, but you're not in an English-speaking country, let's say you are an Azerbaijan, living in Azerbaijan, and you don't really have the chance to do it, then your best solution would be to kind of surround yourself with those inputs. I think, I don't know, like change your readings, change what you're listening to, what you're watching, and also you can engage in the conversation clubs, as I was telling before. Like one of the reasons I learned English really fast was because I was spending nearly every day in conversation clubs. If you don't have that opportunity, then you can again use this online forums to find the people that learn the same language as you, so you can get to know them and you can like speak about a lot of different things. Because one thing I can tell you is that when I went to the UK in 2017, our course coordinator told us really, really great sentence, and still to this day, I keep it in my mind. So what she was telling is that read, speak, listen, write, and even dream in English. And I think that's real powerful, because if you're dreaming English, like I think that's like the point where you kind of mastered the language, that you're already thinking in that language. The whole point is that if you want to learn a language really in a fluent way, and if you don't want to learn it more like you are still dependent on your native language, the best thing is to kind of immerse yourself and surround yourself with the language. For example, what I was doing in my first year in the UK, I was just listening to BBC World Radio all the time. Like even if I was doing cooking, cleaning, even when I was like doing the lessons, I was just still listening to it. Even unconscious listening, it's helping you a lot, I'm telling you. I was spending most of my time outside of the house trying to engage into conversation with other people so I can improve my speaking much better. And the last thing I was doing, of course, I changed all my reading, listening, and watch content as well. I was watching all the things in English, so I was avoiding all the Turkish and Azerbaijan content as much as possible. So that's like the biggest tip. And one more thing, if you want to learn the language fluently, and if you want to think in that language that you want to speak in, it's better to learn the words by their meanings, by their descriptions in the dictionary, rather than learning their translations. I know that in the beginning it might be hard, but as you progress in the language, I would really suggest using Cambridge Dictionary or Oxford Dictionary to get to know the descriptions, the meanings of the words in English, rather than trying to learn its translation, then just like, you know, create a connection. Okay, this word means this in my language, but rather you would learn the description of that word, so you'll be able to describe what you are telling, describe what the word is. So that's I would say, one of the most important tips, and definitely do it, because this is going to be a huge game changer in learning the language. My final advice before finishing this video is that you should always start with the basic stuff rather than going definitely for the difficult topics, because if you see the difficulty, it's not going to be attractive anymore to learn that language, and our brains are not designed for doing the difficult things. We like to rather see the things as easily as possible. That's why it's good to start with the smaller steps. So let's say start with basic grammar, basic speaking, building simple sentences, watching like some really simple TV shows, listening to like maybe 1 or 2 minutes of clear speech and so on. So such things will be helpful as a beginner step, and that will help you to be a bit more enthusiastic and a bit more motivated to do your next steps. And again, with this one, you will be able to overcome this initial fear of learning a language, and I am 100% sure that will be really helpful to move forward with more self-confidence and basically more enthusiasm. And that was the final advice I want to give you before closing this video. That was all from my side, and I hope this video will be helpful to you. I'm 100% sure I gave you really good examples from my experience, because Like whatever tips and tricks I was giving you, it's all from my experience rather than just what I could have just like researched and told you from the internet. So that's all my experience, and I have a similar article on Medium on this one. I'll just link it down below as well. If you want to read it, it's gonna be pretty much similar to this video. But yeah, that's all I want to tell and I want to give you this video today. And I hope you liked it. If you liked it, please share it with your friends. And that's all for today. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye.